Thank you for tuning in to the Ultimate Coach podcast, a companion to the transformative book, The Ultimate Coach, written by Amy Hardison and Alan D. Thompson. Each conversation is designed to be a powerful wake-up call, reminding us of what's possible for you and your life. So if you're on a journey to expand your state of being, this podcast is for you.
Welcome to another episode of the Ultimate Coach podcast, where we explore the depths of personal transformation and the power of coaching. I'm Ipek Williamson, and today we are incredibly fortunate to have Martha Jeffers with us. Martha, a beacon of wisdom, calm, and grace, brings a lifetime of experiences, insights, and a heartfelt approach to coaching that transcends conventional boundaries. With a background as a human resources executive, a master's in spiritual psychology, and a courageous leap into a new career in her 70s, Martha embodies the spirit of lifelong growth and transformation. Her mission is to guide individuals in breaking free from their own barriers to thrive authentically at every level of their being. Martha, your story is a great reminder that it's never too late to pursue our dreams, embrace our vulnerabilities, and step into our power. So thank you for joining us today. It's an honor to have you share your journey and wisdom with us.
Thank you, Ipek. As you were reading about me, I got all teary-eyed.
Oh.
And it's such a privilege to be here with you. And thank you so much for the invitation to share my life, my transformation, and my journey to where I am today.
So, you remember we stayed together in Scottsdale when we were in Arizona for the second year anniversary of the Ultimate Coach event. And there I asked you if you would kindly be my guest for this podcast. And you said yes. And I am so happy that we are doing it now. And there's one thing that stood out for me when I was going through learning about you. I know your background and everything. I myself went through a huge transformation when I left the corporate world and started my practice as a coach and meditation teacher. And I know that you went through a really similar experience. So I want to ask you, how did your transition from a successful career in human resources to coaching unfold? What sparked this profound shift in your life's direction?
Well, it started about age 42. At age 40, I decided that I needed to do something different within my career. Didn't know where I wanted to go. Up until then, I'd been an executive secretary for a couple of executives within the areas of industry that called my attention but didn't truly fulfill me. At any rate, I decided to embark in a 6-month search for what career path I would want to take. And that led me into the career path of human resources. And when speaking to human resources executives, 4 or 5 of them said, without a degree, without a master's, it's going to be very difficult for you to really enter that field of endeavor. So I decided I would go back to college and get a degree. So at 43, I enrolled in a community college, and then from there got accepted for a degree a bachelor's degree in human development at the University of San Francisco. And that brought me into the opportunities that then gave me more experience in HR. And then through my 30 plus years in HR, I found that I loved working with people from a place of who are you, what are you about, and what do you want to accomplish in your life? And as you may know, and many of our viewers may know, HR has always been seen as that place where you go for corrections and possible terminations, the darker side of HR, I guess you would say. And I learned from my own experience that really sitting with employees and supporting them right where they were, regardless of the circumstances, led me later to retire at 70 and start thinking about coaching as my next career. And so here I am, still learning.
Of course, always the student of life.
Always the student of life.
But I also know that you attended the University of Santa Monica, USM, right?
I did. That was a pivotal point in my life that changed my life forever. And really, it's, going back, I left a very flourishing opportunity with a very large company at a point where I thought, I need something different in my life. And so I quit cold turkey, which I'd never done in my life, and took on a position in Portland, Oregon for 6 months to support another company. And I had a major spiritual transformation while I was there, which had come from just having graduated from the University of Santa Monica with a degree, a master's in spiritual psychology. So combining the two, and in between, sandwich in between these two, I had the opportunity to walk the Camino de Santiago, which is a 500-mile walk across Spain. Now, some people might say, well, that's not, great, but I had never gone backpacking. I had never walked more than maybe 10 miles at the most. I had never gone to a foreign country all by myself, except when I was 5 years old. And so it was a major experience for me. And so those three things combined just cracked me open into experiencing who am I and what do I have to offer and what do I want to do? And at the end of those 6 months, I had the opportunity to work with an incredible company that allowed me to really put into practice all my learnings over the course of 3 years. And then, of course, all my previous experiences. But yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I would like to ask you all these, especially these three major experiences, how all those experiences influenced your approach to coaching and your understanding of personal transformation?
What a great question. Ipek, as you and I have experienced life, every experience in our life is for us. And so if I go back to when I was 5 years old and I was sent to this country by myself, an aunt dropped me off with another aunt, but I didn't know that aunt. I was dropped off here for about a year at 5 without my parents, without the familiarity of my extended family, my siblings. When I look back at that experience, I took on a belief of abandonment, and I took on a belief of an imposter syndrome, if you will, that drove most of my life. And until it was discovered and healed to a great degree through the practices and principles of spiritual psychology that helped me open up myself to a place that I'd never experienced before. And that was the healing part of my life with my mother, my relationship with my mother, that allows me now as a coach to have such compassion for those individuals that have experienced certainly not the similarity of mine, but who are hurting through the relationships with their parents or with another individual in their life, that I may not understand exactly where they are. Oh my goodness, I hear it. I can experience it. And that's just one example of what brought me to coaching. And certainly through HR, the many people I touched, either through leadership trainings or through the opportunities of having to terminate individuals. Always, for me, it was always at the crossroads of really being clear that whatever action we were taking with an employee, that I was clear that it was, I use the word, for the highest good and as fair as possible, and with the intention not to cause harm, but to allow for greater growth for this individual, though they may not have seen it at that moment, but with the hope that later, as they reflected back, they could see that they were treated fairly and with kindness.
Yes, that's very important perspective. Thank you. You know, I see you as one of the backbones of the Ultimate Coach community and the being movement. And seeing that you have a background through the USM, which Steve has the same background, it's really easy to see you as a part of this community. But what was the main thing that attracted you to the community or connected you to the community? How did you get into becoming an essential part of this community, Marta?
Thank you for sharing that. It's so interesting. I knew of Steve Hardison, actually, through USM. And being a member of the Facebook family, I had seen postings that he had created. And once or twice I had answered one of his postings, and he responded to me through Messenger, and we connected, always with, oh my goodness, who is this man? I mean, he just responded to me. Who is this person? And I was always very curious about Steve. So when the book came out in December of 2021, I immediately bought the book. And the day that it arrived, and I remember distinctly, at 7:00 at night, I opened the book at 8 and read the whole book until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Wow.
I could not put that book down. It just shifted something in me, because I read it about Steve. At the time I read it about Steve, I read about his story, but it really related a great deal. And certainly a lot of his languaging in the book is familiar to me because of the University of Santa Monica connection. So in January of 2022, I joined the Facebook group and began to listen more about me, as the book instructs us to do, and began to shift a lot of my experiences about being to the degree that I couldn't put it down. I mean, I was in the Facebook group all the time, and at the time there were 500 of us. It shifted. It shifted deeper in me. It shifted a new awareness in me, a new reality in me. And so my involvement throughout that year of 2022 brought me to 2023 and got to know a lot of people. I made a commitment at the beginning of 2023 that I was going to connect with 100 Facebook individuals in the TUC Facebook group. And I did. By the end of the year, I had touched 100 individuals. And that was glorious. The idea to connect with a total stranger in different parts of the world opened up for me the possibility that there is no difference between us, that we are just humans experiencing ourselves in this body that we're in, and that we all want to be loved and want to be seen and want to be cared for and want to be cherished, no matter what station in our lives we were. And that kind of eroded the belief in which I grew up with, that anyone in a higher position was to be revered, and that my role really was to serve them. And what it did is just brought everyone back to a place of, oh, we're all the same. We just use our talents in a different way. And so that also drove the understanding that the more I become who I am in the authentic place, in the experience of my vibrancy, can affect people who I don't even know, hopefully for the best. So then here we are, end of 2020, well, in the middle of 2023, I joined the group that puts together the readings that go on Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings, and got to meet some beautiful people. And in January of this year, I got the opportunity to open one of the events in Phoenix with doing the convocation. And oof, I can't tell you, Ipek, that was, it still touches me. That was an embodiment of something that I have yearned to do, and that's to support people's soul.
And I am one of the lucky people who was there to watch you and clap like for you and cheer for you. And it was a beautiful, beautiful opening speech. One thing that you said about the book when you first received it, you read it right away to the fullest, and about Steve the first time you read it. I so agree with that. And actually, even though Steve says, read it about you, I recommend people who get the book to read it, to learn about Steve first. The first time you read it to learn. And the second time, and other multiple times that you might read after, read it about you and following the instructions that Steve says, like back of the book and the front beginning of the book, and then the book itself about you. I think that is even more impactful because it worked really well for me. So that's my actually recommendation to anyone I refer the book to. And I always say one time is not enough, never enough. So you're going to need to read this many times. And the first time, read about Steve, but then every time you read about you.
Oh, that's so accurate. That is so accurate, because in my reading about Steve, I really got a chance to see him as this human experiencing life on this earth with all the challenges that he had and how he used those for his own upliftment and growth, which gave me the opportunity to look at my life from that vantage point. And I did a lot of that work at USM. What this book has done is deepen. So if you were to look at my book right now, it's full of notes and stickies and highlights, because I guess I'm in my sixth reading of this book. Read it several times for myself, and then through the community reading that we do on Wednesdays and Sundays, then I get the opportunity to read it again chapter by chapter. And yeah, it resonates. I mean, this morning before you and I met, I turned to page 23, and he talks about his son talks about the things that Steve has taught him. And I have several things highlighted, such as rely on agreements and not expectations, or get outside of your own paradigm, or it's not as much what you are doing as you are being. And then there's a lot of other bullet points, but those are the ones that I highlighted and that I go to often to remind myself, who am I being at this moment? Who am I wanting to be at this moment? What am I creating? And you know what, Ipek, I just, in being authentic with you, I went through a really dark moment in February and part of March, and I'm just coming out of it. And so part with the reason why I'm sharing this, that even through all of the learning that I've experienced, all of the development work that I do, the amount of reading that I do, the connections that I have, the work that I'm doing right now through the CFJ coaching school, there's still moments where we fall. And it has just made me really contemplate what that was all about in February and March. You know, we talk about being on the court. Well, I was on the sidelines, not playing full out or wanting to play. And so I had moments where it's okay. It's okay. And lots of self-forgiveness, compassionate self-forgiveness for it's okay. I'm healing at a deeper level. So this book has been intriguing and impactful.
To say the least, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all this. There's one thing I want to ask you about your coaching practice, because starting a new career in your 70s is a bold and inspiring decision. So I want to ask you, what message do you hope this choice gives others about aging and potential? What is the message that you would like to convey?
I love this question. It makes me happy. It's never too late. I'm a late bloomer. I am a late bloomer. I started in my late 40s, right? To really, where am I going? What am I doing? And this is my vibrancy. It makes me happy. It makes me get up in the morning and look forward to who am I going to touch this today, tomorrow, the next day. So there's a vibrancy to that. I want to live my life to the fullest. I want to climb another mountain, which I've already done. I want to walk another walk, which I've done again. I want to touch as many people as I can. And why not? It's like, why not?
And I believe that as long as we are in that state of mind and we have a purpose, we have something that is excites us about doing or thinking even, we stay young.
Yes. Yes. And no matter what we do, right? I mean, after I retired at 70, I took a couple of years off just to enjoy. I loved not doing a thing other than getting up in the morning and gardening or whatever. And then I realized, no, I want to do more, and especially after having taken care of my mother and father through their transition. I knew that there was more for me to do. Yeah. So it's exciting.
And you know what? It's okay to take some time to reflect and just giving yourself permission to take that time for yourself and then regroup and see, what do I want to create from this point on is perfectly fine. We don't have to go all the time. We are allowed to take a break, take a breath, take a pause, get rest, rejuvenate, recharge, and come back with full batteries, right?
Absolutely. And how beautiful to be able to take breaks throughout our life, not waiting until quote unquote retirement. For me, there is no such thing as retirement. It's just a new phase in my life. That I'm no longer working in corporate America 8 to 5. I am working and I do create office hours, but it's all around what I want to do and how I want to show up. So yeah, there's so much to life. I'll be 79 this month, Ipek. I'm so grateful. So grateful. And yeah.
And Martha, may I say you don't show your age at all. You look so beautiful and so young. I think the internal light and wisdom is showing externally in you too. It's so beautiful. But there's a question that I asked everyone. I asked all my guests, which one of the questions in the before you begin section of the book or on the back of the book you see is the one you need to focus on the most at this moment in your time?
So here's the question, because I went through them again today, and this one still is important to me, and that is, who would I need to be to alter my relationship with fear?
Okay.
Explain.
Yes, a little bit.
So I find myself still wanting to show up however I think people want me to show up. And if I create that story inside of me, then I am being fearful. And preparing to be with you this last couple of days has shown me that it's just showing up with who I am regardless. And that there are people who may like it or not, and it's okay. So I'm still learning how to show up without fear and to do things without fear. So being courageous, being deeply courageous is what I would like. And so I am courageous.
Yes, you are. You are that. So now we are coming to our 3 rapid fire questions.
Oh boy. Here we go.
So these are very easy. The first one is your first job ever. What was it and what did you learn from it?
Sears and Roebuck, as an auditor, learned how to type and use computers like no other.
Oh, beautiful. Second question. The last thing you do before bed, what's your nighttime ritual?
Brush my teeth, wash my face, and pray, go into meditation and prayer and gratitude for the day.
Beautiful. And the third one, what is one thing that not too many people know about you?
Oh, not too many people know about me. Oh boy, I don't like to cook. If I could get someone to cook my meals, I would be the happiest woman in the world.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, I kind of agree with you. It's the same for me. I cook, but just because I have to. If I didn't have to, if I had a chef who's cooking for me, I would never cook, I think.
I agree.
I'm right there with you. So thank you so much for everything you shared with us today, my dear Martha. It's been an absolute pleasure and an enlightening experience having you on the podcast. Your journey, your insights, and your big impact that you're making through your coaching, your work, everything you do, and through your being in this community, through your stand, is really inspiring. And for our listeners who feel a connection with your story and maybe seeking guidance or wish to learn more about your work, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can either reach me through Facebook, through Messenger. They can reach me through Instagram, Martha Mother Earth, or in my through my website, marthajeffers.com.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your journey, your light with us. Your story is a powerful reminder of the beauty of transformation at any stage of life and the importance of embracing our true selves. We are incredibly grateful for the opportunity to learn from you, and we are so excited to see the continued impact of your work, my dear Martha. Thank you so much for being such a vital part of our community. Listeners, be sure to reach out to Martha and dive deeper into her transformative insights. Until next time, keep embracing your journey and the infinite possibilities that are out there waiting for you. Thank you, Martha, and see you soon.
Thank you, Ipek.
Thank you for joining us today. If there's someone you know who could benefit from this conversation, please share this episode with them. Also, check out our website, beingmovement.com. You'll find valuable resources and links to connect to an engaging and wonderfully supportive community. Together, we can inspire and support each other on the path to a greater understanding of being. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself.